your next time run. Torque Storm Supercharger True Street. I need you to the lanes. And once again, Dodge Mopar Hemi shootout competitors, please stay in the pits until we call you. You will get called next, but we need to open up some room for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next pair of nitrous hot rods fired and through with the burnouts as they back up into their own track. Chevy versus Ford battle. As I mentioned, Stephen Wardlow, guy that you might remember his name from running in these small tire days back with a green 69 model Nova. It was a combination. First, the car started out as a nitrous setup. Then it went to an F2 Pro Charger. Then back to the nitrous setup. This is his new car that he debuted about a year ago. And it's a big block with nitrous on board based out of the Illinois area. He'll stage up against Terry Wilson. Wilson out of Indiana, he's a drywall hanger by trade. 1995 model Mustang, a whole lot of Mustang cubic inches, 565 of Bischoff engine service power plant underneath the hood with nitrous on board. This car went 457 earlier in the time run. And again, as I mentioned, Wilson picked up the Renegade win at NMRA just 2 weeks ago. So for those of you that say nitrous is outdated and you can't hang with the modern turbo and supercharger power plants, I say Exhibit A right-hand side. So Wilson laying down the quickest run during time runs. What does he lay down here? He is hooked up good. 109.60 foot to the finish line. Wilson 458 at 153 for the Mustang, and that will go to the top spot. 480 with a 0 at 149 for Wardlow. That'll set him into about the number 5 spot. Actually, Wardlow ending up in number 5 behind Tony Orts. And now Terry Wilson at the top, knocking Becky Cram down to number 2. That'll bring up our next pair, Ray Cox out of Clearwater Beach. The 2002 model Trans Am with the 99 anniversary style paint job. Yeah, this is the paint job they used on the 99 models to commemorate 30 years of Trans Ams. They didn't start building them until 1969. The Firebird at that point already had a couple years under its belt. But this is how they were originally painted. 69 Firebird Trans Ams were only available in white with the blue stripes, and that was the only way they were offered. In 1999, you could actually get them 2 different ways. You could get them in this paint scheme. You could also get them as a blue hot rod with white stripes. Cox utilizing the big block Chevy with nitrous on board, and he laid down a 4.5 second time slip earlier. He'll stage up with the turbocharged Mustang over on the right-hand side. We're staged and ready. And both of them light up the tires. Mustang will get back after the gas to lay down the fuel trim numbers. 682 at 134. The ET isn't pretty, but he still wanted to look at the map and see how the turbo kicked in on the boost, and also look at the fuel and the timing numbers to make sure they had everything where they wanted it to be. That'll bring up a nitrous versus supercharged battle next, as Kurt Sanders will line up against Brian Keat. So, ladies and gentlemen, our next pair to come to the starting line, Kurt Sanders and Brian Keat. Sanders based out of Seffner, Florida, in the big block powered 1993 Notch Mustang that he calls Tina. At this time, I will take the Dodge Mopar Hemi Shootout. Dodge Mopar Hemi Shootout to the lanes, please. Once again, I have called Torque Storm Superchargers True Street. And I will now take Dodge Mopar Hemi Shootout. Kurt Sanders right side, Brian Keat in the Pro Charge Camaro left side. And both cars also lighting the tires again. The difference there is Keat looked like he made it to about 30 feet out before the car slid the tires. Sanders smokes the tires right off the head. So our next pair to the starting line, Martin Connolly. Out of Salyersville, Kentucky, the 1990 Mustang, the nitrous-fed ride. 584 cubic inches of big block Ford on board, with a little bit of nitrous on top of it. He'll stage up with the Cutlass that used to belong to Scotty G, now underneath the guidance of Glenn Pushis, multi-time NMCA and LS champ, Glenn Pushis. Yeah, the guy you would recognize more in a late model Camaro in either the Chevrolet Performance stock entry or possibly factory supercar, now wheeling the nitrous ride on the right-hand side. Both of them hooked up good, 109.60 foot for Connolly to the finish line. 4:59 with a 2 at 1:55 for Mark Connolly. So just like last week, the two nitrous rides out of NMRA have both laid down 4.5 second time slips to go number 1 and number 2. Terry Wilson number 1, Martin Connolly number 2. 486.9 at 148 for Glenn Pushis. We'll put him in the middle of the field in the number 7 spot. Becky Cram in the number 3 spot with a 467 with a 9. And that'll wrap up your top 3, and that will also wrap up the Edelbrock Extreme Street category. We will now move into Chevrolet Performance stock presented by Skoganiki Parts Center. Again, this is a spec engine class similar to the NMRA's Coyote stock class. It uses an engine provided directly from the manufacturer. Yeah, GM got on board and gave the DR525 crate motor its purpose. It's basically sealed and has a sealed tuner and processor that must be used with it. So it can be used in any GM body style, 1955 to present, 3,100 pound minimum weight. Automatic or manual transmissions are allowed, but again, the engine and the tuner must remain as delivered. So our first pair, a multi-time NMCA and LSX Challenge winner, Sean Calabrese, out of Orlando, Florida, the 2000 model Trans Am over on the right side. He'll face off with Kevin Lumstead. Lumstead out of Texas, the 1969 model Camaro left side. Both of them wheels up off the starting line. The better 60-foot goes to Calabrese. Lumstead starting to drag him down the racetrack. Left side will get there first. 982 with a 2 at 132. 990 with a 9 at 132 miles an hour. Almost the same speed for both cars, but shows you how the chassis tune-up is so important in these cars. Both running the same speed, only 1/100 of a second between them in 60 foot, but Calabrese 0.08 of a second behind Kevin Lumstead at the finish line. It's a very interesting prospect of how these cars work. Again, you're putting all the thought and process into the transmission, the rear gearing, and the chassis and suspension setup. That'll bring up Keith Vaughn next. Vaughn is a index racer turned heads-up racer with this 1987 model Corvette out of Nashville, Tennessee. It's got the LS3 525 DR motor underneath the hood and an automatic transmission behind it. Getting staged in the rod spot by Kurt Anderson, another longtime LS racer with his 69 Camaro. And Vaughn will stage up here for a single shot. Big wheel stand there for him. 137, 60 foot on the back tires. Vaughn to the finish line. 991 with a 5 at 131. So the first three cars down, 982, 990, and 991. That's how close we are. And all brought to us by Chevrolet Performance Stock, presented by Skog&Dickey Part Centers. As I mentioned already, Skog&Dickey, the official title sponsor of this muscle car mayhem here at Orlando Speedworld. Again, also your source for not only big block Chevy parts and crate engines, but also LS-based crate engines, short blocks and high-performance cylinder heads, intake manifolds, and a whole lot more. You can check out their offerings on the Midway. Go over and say hi to them, and thanks so much for them being a supporting sponsor of not only this event, but also the Chevrolet Performance Stock class. At this time, we are now going to roll Torque-Storm Superchargers True Street into the water and to the starting line. Mike Clark out of Ontario in the 2019 Dodge staging up next against the convertible Mustang left side. The Mopar on its way down, 941, 143. And the Mustang will follow at a 1468 at 91 miles an hour. Keep in mind, in the True Street category, the Torque-Storm Superchargers True Street class basically rewards cars for how streetable they can be. How well can your fueling system, your cooling system, and all that hold up? Because the deal is you will tomorrow go on a 30-mile cruise. When you come back from that cruise, the hood will remain shut. You can't make any changes to the car other than tire pressure. You can add a nitrous bottle to the car if it is a nitrous-equipped setup. You can add ice to an intercooler, but the hood has to remain shut. And then once you've made your first pass, the only thing you can change going forward is tire pressure. You say, oh, it sounds simple. Cars have been in the 7 and 8 second range, but again, it's all in whether or not you can continue to do it. Make one hero pass is one thing, but making 3 consecutive passes is something else. 1288-2 at 108 for George Arrowwood left side. 1565 at 94 miles an hour for the pickup truck right side. We'll bring a pair of Mustangs to the starting line. Michael Gibbons and Marianne Mayman. Marianne in the Mach 1, she's a retired school teacher out of Fort Myers. And Rankin, Georgia for the 2018 Coyote Mustang, left-hand side for Gibbons. Gibbons out there in front will get there first, 1062 at 131. Marianne follows with a 1330 at 10 true for the Mach 1. Once again, I have called Torque Storm Superchargers True Street and Dodge Mopar Hemi Shootout class. If you're not in the lanes, you should be there. Torque Storm Superchargers True Street and Dodge Mopar Hemi Shootout classes. If you're not in the lanes, you should be there. Here's our next pair, Mopar versus Camaro. Robert Riley in the Mopar and the 69 Camaro on the right side. And the Camaro coming off the starting line and having problems. Went to about the 60-foot mark and unfortunately started to have some traction issues. Left side left before the tree was activated, so they won't get a time. So not a good run, what either car would want. Our next pair rolling slowly towards the starting line. Rick Dorn and Felix Garcia. Dorn in the 2020 model Mustang out of Winter Springs, Florida, left side. Seminole, Florida for the 73 Chevelle Laguna on the right side. Did you know that that's a Laguna-based hot rod? They changed the nose on these cars to make them slicker for NASCAR use. Yeah, somebody actually thought in 1973 about making a car slicker front end. Back when cars were making about 200 horsepower in a big block, let's make the nose more aerodynamic. That was what they focused on. 1094 at 127 for Rick Dorn, 1188 at 112 for Felix Garcia. Marshall Myers and Dan Colpitz. Colpitz right side, Myers left side. Myers goes 1018 at 133. 1075 at 127 for Colpitz, as both of them wheeling their challengers to the finish line. The co-owner of Torque Storm Superchargers, the big block twin Torque Storm powered 1972 Cutlass of Scott Oshinsky up next, and Alan Hill riding the Mustang on the right side. And this time it looks like Oshinsky put it together correctly. 141.60, but as he wheels the classic cut to the finish line, 909 at 150 for Scott Oshinsky. Alan Hill going 1098 at 122. So after Scott boiled the tires on his last shot, looks like he turned the power down a little bit, but still motored out the back door to a good pass. 909 at 150. Tina Bogus and Craig Smith next. Smith in the 2005 GTO out of Surprise, Florida. Tina Bogus out of Ripley, West Virginia. The car that says Mom Car on the license plate, but if it hooks up, watch what this thing does left-hand side. Surprise a few people with the 2021 Durango. And once again, the Durango clawing its way towards the finish line. 979 at 139 miles an hour for Tina Bogus. And 11:15 at 124 for Craig Smith is a consistent pass. But once again, Tina delivering a 9-second lap out of the 2-ton Durango. So that will wrap up Torque Storm Superchargers True Street. Once again, a shout out to Torque Storm Superchargers for backing the True Street class. They proudly manufacture their state-of-the-art superchargers in their Michigan facility to combine the best horsepower per dollar along with the industry's best warranty. Over 60 different fitments. Torque Storm covers a wide range of engines. If you want to find out more about them, you can visit them here. Both of the owners of the company are here on the property. Scott Oshinsky with the Purple 72 Cutlass running in the Torquestone Superchargers True Street class. And Brooker running in the Street King class with the 69 Camaro. 980 at 141 left side, 1062, 145 miles an hour right side for our opening pair of Dodge Hemi shootout cars. The Dodge Mopar Hemi shootout class. So this class is run similar to how we do the True Street class. It's focused on the 2005 and newer Gen 3 Hemi vehicles. Now you can also run a Viper or a Gen 3 swap. These vehicles must have full range of street equipment, be licensed and insured, and they make 3 passes together on Saturday to be averaged. 986 and 141 for Melissa Arnold in the Challenger right side. Alan Scallon's Charger goes 1173 at 112 for the Challenger left side. So again, this will award similar to True Street. The quickest overall average is the winner. Then the runner-up, and then closest to without going under, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15-second averages. It does give all vehicles a fair playing ground for a couple. You might get yourself a plaque and some money. It's a great way to come out and participate with a lot of your Dodge Hemi counterparts. 1155, 116 for Christopher Mullen, left side. 1181, 114 for Robert Skalecki, right-hand side, as the pair of Challengers making it down the racetrack. David Turner coming up next in the Charger. He is making a license pass. That's why he's making a single pass. NHRA requires that for license runs. You must make a total of 6 runs to get your official NHRA license to run quicker than 10 flat or over 135 flat miles an hour. Turner, a professional detailer by trade in the 2017 Hellcat Charger left side. Attention to the pits side. We'll take bracket cars at this time. To the staging lanes, please. Bracket cars, I'll take you to the lanes at this time. Now you will see everything here from the Red Eyes and Hellcats. 2 regular 392 1320s, drag packs, even pickup trucks. It gives all the Hemi combatants a place to Cardinal and Clay Allison. Allison left side, Carmen Cardinal right side. And Cardinal and the Challenger going 1018 at 117, 1201 at 112 for Allison's entry left side. That'll bring up Stephen Crooks and Darren Wilson. Wilson in the 2016 Charger, the blue car on the right side of the racetrack. Crooks wheeling the 2019 Challenger, the red car on the outside. .1062, 125 for Crooks. 1317, 103 for Wilson. Both of the Challengers off the starting line. Carbone, Robert Carbone left side, Joe Gomez right side. Carbone goes 10:33 at 1:31. Joe Gomez goes 10:69 at 1:28 for the pair of Cape Coral, Florida-based challengers. Christian House and Homero Loro. Loro on the right-hand side in the dark red Challenger out of Cape Coral, Florida. St. Cloud, Florida is where Christian House calls home. That's the beadlock-equipped black Challenger on the left side. 2019 model as well. Left side will get there first, 10:34, 1:34. 11:43, 1:18 for Lorero's ride. That'll bring up Christopher Malik and Dennis Martocchio. Martocchio. Martocchio out of Castleberry, Florida, the 2020 Challenger on the left side. That's the great one. And Malik out of Springfield, Florida, the 2015 model Challenger right side. Martocchio is going to get there first, 10:56 at 1:34, 13:31 at 1:02 for Christopher Malik. That'll bring up a Challenger Charger battle next. George Phillips in the Charger, Mike Hanna's in the Challenger. Phillips off the starting line first. And with the better performance so far, looking for a 10-second time slip. He gets it, 10:44, 1:33 for the Charger. Hanans goes 11:72, 1:15 in the Challenger. Once again, I have called bracket cars. Bracket cars to the lanes, please. Brackets 1 and 2. Bracket cars. Bracket cars. I need you to the lanes at this time for your second time run, please. Bracket cars. Bracket cars. I need you to the lanes, please. Josh McDonald and Dave Burnett. Burnett left-hand side in the gray Challenger. McDonald in the purple Challenger right side. Burnett getting off the starting line first. Looking for a 12-second time slip. And goes 12:03 at 1:10, 12:35 at 1:10 for McDonald's entry. It'll bring up our next pair. Chris Fuller and John Giljum. Giljum out of Weeki-Wachee, Florida, the 2021 Challenger right side that is falling prey to tire spins. Fuller in the 2021 Superstock model. Left side. And he goes 10:05 at 1:35, 10:75, 1:42 right side. Once again, I have called bracket cars. Bracket cars to the lanes, please, for your next time run. Bracket cars. Bracket cars. I have called you to the lanes for your next time run, please. Bracket cars. Bracket cars. I have called you to the lanes for your next time run, please. Kimberly Gomez and Anthony Espinoza. Espinoza in the Charger left side. Gomez in the Hellcat Charger right side. That's the black car. Espinosa off the starting line first. Gomez giving chase. Espinosa will get there first, 12:13 at 1:10, 12:48 at 1:14 for Gomez. Subin Pena coming up next at the red Charger left side. The white Charger of Harold Lubitz. Red Eye. Lubitz is going to get there first. 11-11, 122. 11.99 and 111 for Pena. Once again, my final call for bracket cars. Final call for bracket cars in each of the lanes, please. Final call for bracket cars. Final call for bracket cars in each of the lanes, please. Ron Medeiros and Brian Utterback. Utterback in the pickup truck, the 2016 Ram F1500, the 2021 Charger. Ron Medeiros of Brooksville left side. Ron is going to get to the finish line first. The Charger nailing down 1161 and 119. The pickup truck following at 1510, 96 miles an hour. So for those of you that are sitting here going, why would you race the pickup truck? Well, a 1510 is close to the 15-second class. If he could do that 3 times and put together, say, like a 510 to 515 average, and no one gets closer than that, he gets to pick up some money. .12 at 112 for Hawkins left side. Josie McClanahan going 14.02 at 97 miles an hour right hand side. Then I bring up Zach Davis and Brettlin Barrett. Barrett in the pickup truck right hand side out of Land Lakes, Florida. Davis in the 2018 model Challenger left-hand side. The Challenger en route to a good pass. 960 at 139 miles an hour left-hand side. Barrett goes 1494 at 92 miles an hour. Once again, my absolute last and final call for bracket cars. Absolute last and final call for bracket cars. I have some of you in the lanes. Looks like we might be missing a few of you. Diana Smith and Charles Gunn. Gunn left side, Smith right side. Smith and the Hellcat's going to get there first, 977, 141. Followed by 1261 and 108 for Charles Gunn in the 2021 Challenger left side. Matt Martin's coming up next out of Spring Hill, Florida, the 2021 Challenger on the left side. Tolly Smith coming up in the 2023 Challenger 1320 edition. Martin's getting there first, 978 at 135 left side, 1218 at 111 for Tolly Smith right side. Arlene Capaccio and David Brumley in the orange. 2014 Super B having traction troubles, and Arlene will take advantage and get there first. 1241 at 110, 1347 at 107 for David Brumley. Thomas Falk and Mike England next. Falk in the blue Challenger left side, England in the Hellcat right side. Falk once again lighting the tires afire. He has pedaled it and got back into it, but England's going to lead him down 973 at 143. 1080 at just 97 miles an hour for Thomas Falk. Clark at the Smokies Garage left-hand side. 2019 Challenger goes 966 at 146. 983 at 140 for Jacob Seegers out of Tennessee in the 2016 Hellcat right side. Jess Richards and Marshall Myers. Myers out of North Carolina right-hand side in the 2020 Dodge. Richards in the 2019 Red Eye left side. All right, attention in the pits, attention in the pits. I need MicroStrategy's stock eliminator. MicroStrategy's stock eliminator for Q2 to the lanes, please. Stock eliminator. Stock eliminator, I need you to the lanes for Q2 at this time, please. Jimmy Marin will round us up here for the second time shot of Dodge Mopar Hemi Shootout again. Dodge Mopar coming together to sponsor the Hemi Shootout. Some modern Dodge, Chrysler, and Ram vehicles have some place to enjoy their cars. The racetrack, the place is near you. 1157 and 117 for Jimmy Marin. All Gen 3 Hemi combinations are available to participate here, both 2005 and newer factory vehicles, as well as swap vehicles. If you want to find out more about this, you can visit the registration trailer and ask an NMCA representative about the Dodge Mopar Hemi Shootout. We appreciate Dodge and Mopar for the encouragement and participation here for the NMCA for the third straight year. So Camaro versus Nova battle to get us started off with here. The 78 to 81 model Camaro left-hand side, the 69 Nova over on the right-hand side. Camaro off the starting line first. We'll get to the finish line first. 651 at 106, 727 at 92 miles an hour for the Nova. Attention to the bits, attention to the bits. I need stock eliminator for Q2 to the lanes, please. Stock eliminator for Q2. I need you to the lanes, please. That'll put my open comp class on standby for Q2. Open comp, I will call you next. Once again, I need stock eliminator to the lanes. Open comp, I will call you next. 659 at 105, left side for the Vega. 656 at 103, right side for the Chevy Nova. That'll bring up a Dodge Dart versus Ford Mustang battle next. The Hillbilly Hustler Dart over on the left-hand side of the racetrack, and the modern Mustang on the right side. Big wheel stand there for the Dart as they left the starting line. 664 at 100 miles an hour. 818 at 87 miles an hour for the Mustang right side. Once again, I'm looking for stock eliminator. I need you to the lanes, please. Stock eliminator. I need you to the lanes, please, for Q2. Stock eliminator. I need you to the lanes, please, for qualifier number 2. Right-hand side goes 646 at 101, 784 at 91 miles an hour for the Pinto. That'll bring up a pretty serious-looking Maverick next, left side of the racetrack, and the old-school Gasser-style hot rod coming up right-hand side of the racetrack. Big wheel standing on the Maverick until they go off the starting line. Top end scoreboard says 575 at 120 miles an hour. Gasser follows at 862 at 77. Once again, stock eliminator. I need you to the lanes, please. Stock eliminator. I need you to the lanes, please. Stock eliminator. I need you to the lanes, please. Danny Keys coming up next, the 1941 Ford left-hand side. Staging up against Wade Gullett. Gullett, the ex-Pro Stock, holds Cutlass chassis over on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Gullett will get to the finish line first, 565 at 122, 645 at 103 for Danny Keys Jr. Last and final call for stock eliminator. I need you to the lanes, please. If you're not here, you're about to be late. Attention to the pits. The first call for my MagnaFuel Open Comp class. I need you now. First call, Open Comp. Renee Meyerhofer staging up the 68 Dart. Nice double 09 reaction time for the LS Power Dart. And he'll wheel it through at 566 at 119. So a little bit of racetrack touch-up going to take place here as we get ready for Q number 2 to get kick-started here with our MicroStrategies stock eliminator class. That will be followed by MagnaFuel Open Comp. I have called those two classes to the lanes. MicroStrategy's Stock Eliminator and MagnaFuel Open